How's it going, guys? Question the quote here. I'm Joey.
And I'm Luke.
And today we kind of have a new video today for you. We've put together a graph.
Nice little graph for you guys.
This topic. And the topic is women and entitlement.
Entitlement, guys.
And basically the graph, which we'll get to in a second, we're going to compare the age to value ratio as well as to, I guess you would say, alpha entitlement versus beta entitlement. And we'll kind of intertwine this thing. Alright guys, so before we get into the graph and to the meat of what we're going to talk about, there's a few pointers that we want to express with you guys. Number one is it's best to avoid women who don't understand their own level of entitlement. Younger women usually have a lot higher, as you'll see in the graph that we've created for you, and it tends to drop off. And we'll get to the graph. Actually, let's just get to the graph right now.
We'll go and jump into it, guys.
So E is basically level of entitlement. Obviously you have age here, and then you kind of have this little, I guess, tick mark that I've graphed out here. If you can see, if you can't see that, that says alpha and this says beta right here. And about the age of 18, women will start at about 10, right?
Yeah, honestly.
They always start, and it's just
very high entitled. I mean, it's the mainstream narrative, guys. You gotta think about, they're raised on that Disney fucking shit. So they're essentially taught to be, you know, they're the princess. The prince has to do X for them in order to make them happy. And usually, in I would say 90% of cases, depending on where you grow up, from age about 18 to maybe 22, 23, even a little after, the juice is never going to be worth the squeeze when it comes to these women, because it's going to be all give and no take. Exactly. You're just going to find yourself, they want to be wine and dine, they might not be putting out. You need to nip this in the bud early, guys, and recognize where they are early on. And so, with that being said, you'll see it starts to taper off, of course, once they get into what Luke likes to call the epiphany phase. The epiphany phase. Between, guys, I would say the ages of, it might be a little bit earlier than 28, and it might be a little bit later than 32. Every girl's going to be, you know, a little different, like you said, about 28 to 32. Women can still maintain their beauty and everything up until their 40s, even later I've seen, but this is important to keep in mind. This is when they start realizing, guys, that their value starts to drop. And this always shifts, you know, depending on the individual. This is just what we've seen in our lives, right? This is just the averages. Is we see women who are like, take me out, do this for me, do this for me, do this for me. And then it's kind of like, now what can I provide? What can I bring to the table besides just my looks? What else can I bring to the table? And not only that, the reason why they're doing that is because they're going from the alpha fucks to the beta bucks kind of situation. They're going from riding the cock carousel, guys, of sleeping with every alpha they can, to looking into, oh, who can provide for me? Now I'm entitled more to a beta provider kind of guy versus an alpha that is just a standalone. The level of entitlement always stays probably right around the 5 level range, just because they're women, guys. Exactly. But you know, once they hit, you know, 28 to 32, like Luke said, they're kind of looking for someone to lock down. They're trying to optimize their hypergamy, right? They're only going to get as much as their hypergamy will let them. And they've noticed that there's a lot of less options here than there were here. And they can't optimize that the way they did. And then it kind of just tapers out and then into their 50s and stuff. And these are my favorite type of women, guys, personally. Because Luke doesn't like them, but I do. Because they have the lowest level of entitlement, and if they can keep themselves looking good, that's just the range I like to stay in. Alright guys, so I guess the takeaway from this would be just understand, number one would be stay away from women who don't understand their own level of entitlement. Right. And as well as do understand that in this general graph that we've created, if you choose to date women in this spectrum, you're going to have to deal with a lot more women that are pain in the ass on a general basis. On a probably I'd say 80 to 90%. You're going to probably dealing with something that's a lot more high maintenance if you do decide to date in this area. And that's about it, guys, for Question the Quo. Awesome. So drop us a like, hit us a comment, and subscribe to Question the Quo.